Welcome to language. This is lesson 153 and for fourth grade. We're looking at pages 235 and 236. The homework for this lesson is to do think C and write D on page 236. So those last two exercises are homework. Continue to read your book report book that you've been reading. This is our last book report, and it is due to be read by April 30th. Which is 1 week from today, so next Thursday, and then to have the book report written you have an oral book report that will be due by May 8th. And I'm going to explain that a little bit better in a later lesson, but right now just continue to read your book and make sure that you are understanding what you're reading and remembering it, so you will be writing like a rough draft and then making some note cards, and I'll go into that a little bit more later. So let's take a look at subject-verb agreement 3, okay? So on the top of 235, a compound subject, usually a plural subject, is usually a plural subject and takes a plural verb. So that is what we're looking at up here on the board. So language and spelling are fun, okay? So what is our subject or subjects? Language and spelling, right? Okay, so those are two subjects combined by and, okay, joined by and so it's a plural subject, right? Because it's two separate things that we're talking about. So we're going to say that they're plural, okay? So our verb are, we wouldn't say language and spelling is fun, because then it wouldn't be plural, okay? So in this case, we do need are because it's plural, all right? So let's look at the next one. The boy and girl has or have a dog. Okay, so let's find our subjects, right? Boy and girl, okay. So is it one person or two? It's two, right? Boy and girl. So is it plural or is it singular? It's plural, right? It's talking about two. So which one is plural, has or have? Have. Right, okay? Plural does not usually have an S, okay? So the boy and girl have a dog, okay? You see how that works? So let's look at let's take a look at the top and look closely. Compound subjects joined by and usually take a plural verb. Mr. Stevens and his family have gone on vacation. A math book and a sweater were left on the bus, okay? So have was the plural and were is the plural. All right, so in Think A, it says to underline each subject one time, underline the correct verb or parentheses 2 times, okay? So the colt and its mother is or are playing in the field, okay? So what is our subject or subjects? Colt and mother, okay? Colt, you underline colt and underline mother. So is that more than one or is it one? It's more than one, right? So it's plural. So is or are, which one's plural? Are, okay? So colt, underline colt and underline mother once, and then underline are twice, because that is your verb, okay? The girl and her brother knows or know the answer, okay? Let's find our subjects. Girl and brother, okay? So underline those ones. And so then is it compound? Yes, okay? So girl and her brother know the answer. Again, know without the S is the plural. Your pen and pencil is or are lying on the floor. Your pen and pencil is or are lying on the floor. Okay, so what's our subject? pen and pencil, right? So underline those ones. And which one's compound? Is or are? Or plural, I'm sorry. Are, okay, so underline are twice, twice. Okay, so we did the first three together to help you with that. There are some that you gotta look for that we did like yesterday where it has, it doesn't start with the subject, okay? The here and there, so be careful for those. Don't make here or there a subject. And be careful about prepositional phrases. So if you see a prepositional phrase and you may, you're not sure if you're going to get it confused, put parentheses around prepositional phrase. Cross it out. Either way, not all neat, just one line through it, just to show that you're not going to find your subject or verb in there, okay? And it doesn't affect a plural object of the preposition does not affect a singular subject. And the same way, a singular object of the preposition does not affect your plural subject, okay? So if the subject is plural, the verb has to be plural, no matter what words are in between it. Okay, so let's look at number 1 on Think B, so it helps us to see this, okay? The pilot with 2 passengers was or were in the airplane, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to find the prepositional phrase, and I want you to cross it out, okay? So the pilot with 2 passengers was or were in the airplane, okay? So what is our prepositional phrase? There's actually 2 in the sentence, but with 2 passengers, so draw one line through that. In the airplane is the other one, so you can draw a line through that, okay? So now, what's our subject? The pilot, right? So pilot, underline that once. Now, is pilot singular or plural? Is it one thing or many? It's one, so it's singular, right? So which one is a singular verb? Was or were? Was, the pilot was, okay? So then underline was twice, okay? So when you go through these, it will help you if you cross out any prepositional phrases that may get in the way, okay? So just be careful of those. And so you're gonna do those 2 exercises. Turn the page. We're gonna look at Think A. We're reviewing agreements, so these should be fairly simple, but we'll do the first one of A and B together. And then I'll explain C and D for homework, okay? So Think A is write is or are in the blank, okay? So you don't have to change it, just is or are is the only word you're writing. So number 1, the noise of the excited children is or are deafening, okay? So what's our noun? What's our subject? Children isn't the subject, okay? So it's noise. All right, so noise is our subject, but of the excited children is what? A prepositional phrase, so you can cross that out if you'd like. Okay, so noise is or noise are deafening. Noise is, right? Because it's one thing it's talking about, just one thing. So there it would be is, okay? So I'll let you do the rest of those. And then in Think B, identify the following subjects and verbs as singular, and you can write S-I-N-G period or plural, P-L period. Okay, so number 1, she was. She was, is that singular or plural? Okay, remember how many are we looking at? Is it one or many? She is just one, right? So it's singular. S-I-N-G period is what you're gonna put there, okay? Think C is very simple. You're going to write do or does. This is how those are the only 2 options, so don't go thinking you have to change something, okay? So you're going to just write whichever one goes after it, would go with that subject, okay? So these are the subjects: you, they, policeman, grammar, Natalie, leaders, it, tests, mom, we. Those are your subjects. You're going to write the correct verb, either do or does, on the line after it, okay? And in tomorrow's lesson, I will check those, okay? So be ready to check those. And then write D is on a notebook paper, write sentences using the following words, okay? So the plural of lady as the subject. So it has to be the subject of your sentence, and it's got to be the plural of lady, okay? Use goes as the verb. And so these are three separate sentences, okay? So the first one is to use lady as the plural of lady as a subject. And then the second one is to use goes as a verb, so you can make up your own subject for that. And number three is a compound subject joined by and. Okay, so those are three separate sentences. Okay, so just you're not trying to make one sentence out using all of those. Just do three separate sentences, each sentence having that what they ask for there. Okay, so that's your work for today. So finish up page 235 and 236. And then if you have time, do the homework. If not, if you're doing that after you finish your lessons for the day, then do that. And I will see you in the next lesson. Don't forget to keep reading your book report book.